Welcome to the Nock on Archery podcast, where we bring all archers and bow hunters together from all walks of life with the goal to educate, empower, and inspire you to be better both in the field and on the range. Welcome to the podcast studio. You've seen everything else. What do you think?
Man of many talents.
So what do you think about your archery school? The School of Nock. You took a crash course. Both of us had tight schedules, but we made it work.
It was to the point. No wasting time. Everything was like the teaching was good. So it wasn't like, okay, a lot of killing around and no. And I don't mind going over the basics again and again. So like last night, you were afraid I was going to stay up practicing with a little toy. Click, click.
I'm not so sure you didn't. You might have. You might not have told me. Yeah, I gave you a release and a little shot trainer last night just to like give you a little nugget of what we were going to talk about today.
You thought I was going to stay up all night. No, I got it down. Okay, now I got to put it down. It's like teaching jiu-jitsu. I don't suggest the guys to learn a move and go practice at home, because then if I develop a wrong habit, the next day is going to be harder for you to fix that wrong habit instead trying to show me something new. So I practice in front of you. When we're done, okay, I'm done. I got it right. So I'm going to put it down, go to sleep now.
That's so important. A lot of people miss that point. I really feel like too many people focus on thinking that just numbers of practice means that you get better, that you can master something. But it's not necessarily time when the time's not spent practicing properly, right?
It's like I don't want to develop a wrong habit. So I'm trying to visualize, not even memorize, visualize you looking at me, staring at my elbow. Okay, your elbow's wrong, Royce. Okay, I got it. I put it up.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Very like micro analytical about myself for technique. And right now, like I'm trying to self-teach guitar, and I'm taking it very slow, but I'm just doing the same thing so much to where I don't want to learn the next thing when I know that I haven't learned the first thing properly, or like to where subconscious is doing it correct and I know that it's doing it correct. If I find myself making mistakes, I feel like if I move on to the next thing too fast, then I'm going to be repetitively practicing this other thing wrong rather than just taking time to do it to where naturally I'm doing it right without thinking about it.
But having an instructor next to you makes a big difference.
Big difference.
Having somebody pointing out or just looking at it and shaking your head like you did to me a couple of times. And I was like, I'm going to choke him out soon enough.
I know. Caleb really was hoping that we would roll just so that he could watch you choke me out. I mean, I'll let you do it if you really want to.
Oh, so you're going to let me do it?
Yes.
Got it. Just making that clear.
Yeah. The one thing about archery versus jiu-jitsu is you've got 100 yards to close that distance. And I still have an advantage. Once you get to 0 yards, I agree. You've like at that point.
I think he's challenging me.
Yep. No, I think the two disciplines are so critical to people who are honestly, there's people that struggle to like find a path to what really makes them happy. And I don't know if you will always find the thing that makes you totally happy, but I think when you find things that challenge you every day, and I've never met anyone that has no competitive drive at all. Like a lot of people, even if it's a kid that has always got participation awards, you can still tell if they don't do it, they're not happy with themselves. So when you pick up a bow and all of a sudden, today you had things going really good, and then all of a sudden you had one get wild, and I could tell it just that switch flipped like, oh no, you just didn't do that. And then you kind of look at me like, why?
It's a personal challenge. It becomes, everybody have their personal to get better.
Yep. And I think both of those are so good because it doesn't take much for you to suck again. And when you're good, it's so rewarding.
But that's why you have to practice every day. We're creatures of habit. You got to practice the whole time. Can be just, oh, no, I'm good enough already. I don't need to practice anymore.
Yeah, for sure not. One of the things that I talk about, I call it selective cycling, but I saw someone make a post about it the other day, and I'm trying to think who it was. It was someone pretty famous, made a post about, and it might have been a guitarist was saying, I never practice songs I'm good at. I only practice songs that I'm bad at, which is very on par with my philosophy of selective cycling. So I always pick whatever the worst part of my game is, and that is what I will practice on until it gets either better or something else is worse. And then, so I'm always just spending the most time on what I'm bad at to where I can just polish that and polish it and polish it. Otherwise, I feel like you just avoid it forever and you'll never progress at it. And it'll eventually start dragging other aspects of your game down. Do you agree?
I agree, but you have soccer. A soccer player kick equally good with both legs.
Yeah.
But he got one penalty, one kick to decide if they're the champions or not. He's going to choose his strong side. So, yes, it's good to practice what you're weak on the side that you're weak or what you're lacking.
Yep.
Because you already depend on this. But if you have to, you can always go back to that side and do that right side.
Yep.
The perfect side, the perfect archery, the perfect.
Yep. I feel like I polish that stuff enough, like in game time. A lot of times it's really hard to practice at the same competitive level as when it's game time. Whether it's a hunting situation, it's really hard to imitate the nerves and the chaos of what goes on in a hunting situation. The closest I ever got to it was tournament archery, where, you're shooting for a medal and everything's on the line and there's people watching and, whatever result you have on a piece of paper is history at that point. It's, everyone will always know about it. That was the closest I could ever get, which is why I competed to be better as a bow hunter, because I felt like that was the only thing that climatized me to a hunting scenario.
What I tell the guys when they're going to go fight or compete, or I tell them, look at as if it was another training day with a few more people watching.
Yep.
With live TV going on, but don't worry about that. It's another training day. You're going to do another training day with a different sparring partner, somebody that you don't know. But look at it as another training day. If you do what you did during the training day, you'll be fine.
Yep.
So instead, people sometimes get too nervous or the butterflies. And, dude, it's another training day.
Yep.
Couple more lights, bigger stadium, more people. But don't worry about that. It's another training day.
It kind of relates to what I was telling you about once you start to shoot further distance. It's very much the same. I told you, I'm like, listen, the prize is further down there, and there's like more excitement to it. But your arrow isn't going to land in the gold if you don't do.
The mechanics don't change.
Yeah. If you don't act like it's training day and just execute the same thing as when we're warming up for 10 minutes, like it should always be the same. But some people try to, once you get tight, intense, it's kind of your enemy for a lot of times. I mean, you need to have the adrenaline, you need to have that drive.
But that comes with experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard to change that. It's like walking into a fight. On the beginning, a lot of people get nervous. By the end of their career, they're like, man, it's another fight, man. It's just no big deal.
Yep.
So like a couple of times I walk out, I had to stop, call my brothers. It's like, guys, relax. I'm at home. I have to calm them down. Let's go do this. And they're like, dude, okay, fine. Go do your thing.
Yeah. Well, that's the one thing with competition. You're able to do it so much. Like, I traveled when I competed a lot. I rarely unpacked my bow case with my number one bow. I normally only worked on like my number two bow, and I would practice and drill for the few days that I had off. But I would only be home Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then Thursday, I'm traveling again. So, when you're in game time every 4 days, you never really have time to de-escalate. You kind of just, it's like getting in hot water. You get to the point where it doesn't feel hot anymore because you've never stepped out of it. You've just been in hot water the whole time. And then it makes any of the hot water kind of feel the same, right?
But then that's why you have the ups and downs. You got to know how to peak on one day and then stop everything, come back down again so you can time it and peak. At least that's how it is for fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes the guys win or lose and they want to right away go back to training. I said, no. Spend about 3 weeks at home, a month at home.
Oh, that's smart.
Then come back and start training again because I won or I lost. I want to go back and do it again right away. Next week, he's already training. I said, I normally tell the guys, take some time off. Take at least a month off, 3 weeks to a month. Don't do anything. Don't lift. Don't run. Let the body crave to come back.
That's such a good point. I talk about that in competing. Like normally when you try out for like a world championship team, the trials are quite a ways in front of the world championship. And I remember a lot of my friends would make the team, then immediately be training so hard that after 2.5 months passed, they've overtrained and mentally they're just burned out. Whereas I just knew my body well enough to know that I need about just under 4 weeks to really be peaking as
you gotta time it.
So I would just go fishing. I'd play golf. I would shoot a little bit, but nothing like it would just be for fun. But I would always know, okay, I'm 4 weeks out. Now it's time to buckle down. And then I was hungry for it once I got to I hadn't overtrained.
Then you just start to climb up that again, the hill again. It's like, okay, I peak on one day that I need to peak. And then you got to give time again to go back down, back up again.
But that experience, like you said, that's a lot of coaches, I think, can estimate that time, but every individual is just a little bit different. So like some people may not need as much time. Some people may need more. I guess that's where a good coach comes in to recognize too, how long it takes that athlete to get back to where they were, but then be hungrier to where they can actually be better than what they were. I would think it'd be harder in fighting because like with archery, I can compete today, but I could also compete tomorrow. Whereas with fighting, you're really training for a specific opponent, right?
But they normally give at least 6 months, 5-6 months apart between the fights. So you can take some time off still, even if it's like 2 weeks, 3 weeks and go again. But I find it's not good to just keep going back right away to training to pick up the next fight. Dude, give a few weeks off and then start again.
Yep.
Your body's fresh. It's craving to train.
When you talk about nerves, like at your first, for me, I remember it probably took a dozen professional tournaments before I started to like know what was coming and feel okay with it. When you did the first UFC 1, your dad pretty much selected you to represent the family, right? For that. And you hadn't fought yet.
No. First time, no. I mean, I had some challenge matches back in the garage day, but it was more of a very under control because the guy was fighting us and I was trying to turn him into a student. So it wasn't exactly, he was trying to fight, but I was controlling, trying to make him sign up to become a student. But it wasn't a real top guys level, do you see? It was just future students.
Do you remember what you felt that first, like for your first fight when you walked out for UFC 1?
Another training day.
Did you feel that way?
Yep.
Mentally, you were that on key.
My fights, I'm always asleep. An hour before the fight, my brother have to come in, tickle my head, wake me up because I'm asleep. He's like, whisper on me. He's like, it's time to get up. Can you please go stretch? It's like, okay, fine, go ahead. They stretch me left, right, pull my arms, pull my legs, spread me apart. Like, shake me up.
Damn,
you
bro.
gotta wake me up.
Dang.
Personal qualities.
Yeah, no kidding. Wake up the sleeping bear from hibernation to just come out and kick some ass.
It's like, okay, guys, I'll go. I got this. But that's, again, it's knowledge. I know what to do when it comes to fighting. You got to fight right now. Okay, let's go. You see, it's like, I don't have to, oh, no, I have to get ready. I walk around this way, fight this way. So there was no getting ready. It's like if you practice all the time.
Yeah.
And tomorrow somebody calls you out and challenges. It's like, okay, I'm ready. If you have to say, no, I need 3 months to get ready for this challenge. Whoa, you're not practicing. So I'm practicing, but not pushing my limits. But I'm practicing. It's like sometimes not even shooting the ball, but by teaching, you're practicing.
Yep. Yeah.
You repeat that motion without firing the arrow a bunch of times yesterday and today by just showing me. So that is practicing. A lot of people don't like the repetition and the practice. They like to just go to the challenge and go compete and go fight. And no, you got a repetition. You fight. I mean, you repeat and you get your muscles in place.
Yep.
To draw. But
you get your mind there too. It's like, for a lot of people don't realize the importance of mental imagery. And for me, when I coach, and I think a good coach, even if I'm not shooting for a whole week or 2 weeks because I'm coaching, I am talking about the perfect shot so much to where when I step up to do it, I'm almost doing what I've been visualizing. Like what I've been wanting to see you do, I've been wanting to see you do that, wanting to see you do that, wanting to see you, and then in a way, I'm wanting to show you like what I'm talking about. And I think when you go through it so much in your mind as a coach, you do it because you've rehearsed it so much.
Before my fights, the night before, I'll lay down in the bed, put my 3 coach, the main guys that I'm going to listen to on my corner, I put them sitting down. And I'll lay down and I'll close my eyes and I'll visualize the fight. I'll dictate the entire fight from beginning to end, different possibilities. If I'm on the ball, if I'm on top, if I take the hit, if I hit, if I take him down, if he takes me down, so they know me, how I'm going to react, so they don't get in a panic.
Yeah.
It's more for me to let them know, hey, that's how I'm going to react. If I take a hit, I'm going to drop on my butt. I'm going to pull guard. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, but don't worry, I'm good. You see, I'm letting them know. So, yes, I do visualize a lot. So, a lot of the stuff when you're teaching me earlier.
This is really cool.
I'm processing on my head. I think you saw me. I kind of look away and I'm processing. How is that jiu-jitsu? Okay. And I'm figuring it out. I'm visualizing as you talk. I'm putting on as a vision, not just a listening and not hearing you.
How many times?
I'm not just listening to you. But did you hear what I said? Nope. I have no idea what you said. I just listened to you, but I didn't hear you. No, I'm processing, visualizing the movement, the elbow. I'm picturing the whole thing on my head to print it inside and printing it. It's like major operation inside the head. It's like
some students that would do that, I would have hit them across the back of the legs with an arrow. But for you, I'm like, just let them process this and I'll repeat it.
Didn't need to repeat that much. I hit good, man. Come on.
Yeah, you did.
Good.
How many times?
I'm good.
How many times during those visualization processes on the, when you were laying on the bed, how many times did you actually manifest the exact outcome?
All of them.
Really?
All of them.
That's awesome.
Some of them, of course, there's a couple loss that I had that was totally it's not because I wasn't present. The ones that I peak on the wrong day.
Yeah.
So I wasn't present. So that 2 losses, then that was because I peak on the wrong day. The body walk out. All the techniques stay in the locker room. But then there was one fight that we timed between Royler and I. We timed the crowd. When the crowd boo, it's going to be the time that he's going to get impatient. He's going to swing hard. And that's when you get in a clinch. So make the fight boring. Let the crowd boo. Now, that is strategy right there.
Yeah, heck
Make the fight get boring. The fight is boring. 2.5 minutes into the fight, the crowd start to boo us because of boring fight. He loses patience. But that you have to know your opponent. I knew he was going to lose his patience.
Yeah.
Lost his patience. He stepped in with a big right hand. That's when I got in a clinch.
That's awesome. There's been a few times that I feel like I've completely manifested the outcome. You know, like very specifically, there's been a few times prior to medal matches where, you know, I almost played out, you know, we start out 3 10s, we go 3 10s again. You know, I missed the first 9. He holds, then he gives one back with 2 arrows left. And then this is how I'm going to feel during that time. And here's what I'm going to have to pull together to finish out 10-10 to win the medal. There's been multiple times that's happened, but there's also been multiple times where I've done it in hunting as well, where I'm like, okay, this bull's going to do this. He's going to come here. He's going to react to this. He's going to come back. This is where my shot's going to be. I have to know, be ready, right? And then all of a sudden it's played out. And there's been a few times where I've discussed that with people that I'm mentoring, and they're kind of looking at me like, how do you know this is going down? But it's almost like a vibe that you just get from experience. And then all of a sudden when it plays out, they just look, they're like, how did you know that? I don't really know why, but I could see it. Like I could see the whole puzzle piece. Like I could see the chessboard moving, and I knew what moves were left, and that's what was left.
There's a difference in between visualizing, and I can visualize the deer or the elk or passing by, and I'm not going to have the shot, and I'm going to release, I'm going to pull back, I'm going to reset because I'm not in position, or, okay, I got the shot. That is strategy. Different than people ask me sometime, I go, difference between that and strategy is I'm going to visualize the perfect fight. I'm going to come out, I'm going to throw a side kick, I'm going to get in a clinch, I'm going to take the opponent down, I'm going to mount on him, throw a couple elbows, he turns around, I choke him out, now win. That's not visualization. Yeah. That's a wish. Yeah. You wish the fight goes that way. Have you noticed the opponent didn't do a thing to you? Nothing? Everything? That's a wish. So don't confuse. Yeah, the perfect size bow is going to come out, and I'm going to be in perfect spot, and I'm going to draw, and I'm going to shoot. That's not visualization. That's you're not visualizing anything. You're just wishing that happens. Yeah. Visualizing.
That's daydream. That's daydreaming.
That's daydreaming, yes.
But what we're talking about is almost intuition that you conceive to play out exactly how you want it to, because you know what's the reaction. Know what's
different. Yes.
Yeah.
Be able to strategy. That's strategy, I call.
Yeah. It's really cool that
you know how they're gonna move, and I know how the animal moves. Mm-hmm. He's gonna come from there to go over there. I guarantee you he won't go this way. I guarantee you he's going to go this way. That's his path. I know. It's a strategy. That's how they walk and they smell. And that's when they put their head down. They put their head up. And that's when you move. And you see, that's strategy.
Yep. How good was your dad at it?
Very good.
Did he know what was coming with people?
It would be more like for people that didn't know him, if you ever train with him, he will be like, you get yourself in a position, he'll go kind of like me. A couple times I think you thought about saying, but you just didn't. Mm-hmm. When I pulled the arrow, you probably thought, okay, go back, Royce. Don't fire. You're going to miss. You probably thought about that.
Oh, yeah. I thought
Because
about
you
it a lot.
knew. Really? Reset. But you didn't say anything, and I was able to fix it up and let it go and pull it off.
Yeah.
But a few times I can see you behind me like thinking, oh my God, just reset and because start all over. It's like, yep, that was my father. It's like, okay, this is not gonna work.
Yeah.
You can make it probably work because you're fast, because you're strong, because you have personal qualities. But a normal person wouldn't pull it off. So he would be like, sorry, it's not going to work. Reset, do it again. And I can feel your vibe of thinking behind me. It's like, he's going to miss this one.
And that's why you just powered through every time, too.
And then I just go ahead and fix it. And
you're like, you're like, Dad, I'm going to prove you wrong right now.
Tell me what's impossible, and I'll show you. I'm going to prove you wrong.
What was the most impressive match you've ever seen your dad?
I've never seen my father fight. I was too young.
Oh, really?
By the time I was born, he was already retired, done fighting. He was in his 50s when I was born.
But, I mean, did he never, like, show you signs where you would think, oh, damn? Did he ever, like, kind of like Yoda when all of a sudden he shows you at one little moment, all of a sudden he breaks out something where you just thought, oh.
Oh, yeah. It was a lot of trust. Put your finger on the release. Trust. If you don't put your finger on the release, arrow go off right into the ground. So if you trust that thumb on top of the release, you will not go, man, are you sure, man, if I pull, it's going to, this little tiny hook is going to be able to hold all that pressure? Yep. So he taught a lot of trust to us. Do it. Put your elbow back like a railroad. Just pull back your knuckles. It will work. You'll hit the target.
Plus, it's so rare when you find someone that can make that many people good. Like where they make such good coaching decisions to where you're just like, he's making them good. He's making them good. He's getting like, it's almost like a language that you just realize he invented the language, right? That's why it's speaking it so clear.
Making us good, but it was never forced. It was always in a challenging way. So always, and there's so many of us, we always challenge ourselves, always challenging. Who's going to get better? Who's beating who? And there's always a challenge. Became always a challenge, always a quest to find out who is the best.
Did he ever lose his cool and just get really pissed at any time during a practice segment?
No.
He never did.
Because he understands.
Oh, dang.
He understands mistakes are going to be made. It's like some of the guys that I saw arrows and sticking on the top of the wall. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
The mistake's already made. It's like little kids. You're gonna yell at the guy for that? It's like it's done. It's already passed. Let's make sure that this doesn't happen again, man. But I'm not gonna get mad. He doesn't never get mad. He never got mad.
How long do you think people need to practice?
All the time. We're creatures of habit. There's a lot of tough guys out there. There's a lot of talented people out there. But without discipline to get up and practice, they don't stay on top forever. If you don't practice, talent goes away. And that's very common in sport, any sport. Soccer, basketball, baseball. Oh my God, this guy's so talented, the best pitcher ever for one season. Next season, he's gone, disappeared. Nobody knows what happened to him. His talent is gone. Somebody figure him out. You see, boxing, judo, anything, jiu-jitsu. If you don't constantly practicing, if you rely on talent, I'm good in living the party life without training because you're tough and you're good, your talent, it's not going to last long.
Yeah.
Soon enough will catch up to you and the other people figure you out and you're gone, disappear. Then it becomes hard to come back. So it's constant practice. not fighting.
Yeah.
Right, like I was saying earlier, you did that draw showing me how to draw a bunch of times yesterday and today.
Yep.
That is practice.
Right.
It's not like you have to go to competition and nope.
Yeah, because I talked to you about that with that shot trainer. I said, you don't have to draw back all the time. You know, if you're focusing on just the step of the shot routine, which is anchor, just having a little slack and just visualizing the last inch of your draw cycle, bing, and finding this. Because even just that routine is so important, because you don't have to practice the whole motion, because you have the ability to make a mistake.
I have to. You saw me. I had to put my thumb on figure it out so I can practice the whole motion.
You could. But eventually you'll put a magnifying glass on it and you'll start like zooming in on more specific parts of that draw cycle to where you're like, I want this part of this whole sequence right. Like, and I'm going to make this part right. Yep. And then you move the magnifying glass to just a slightly different part.
And practicing is much more fun. A lot of people like to go duke it out or go to competitions, but that hurts sometimes. So,
well, the truth is, like for archery, if you go to a competition, you really don't shoot that much. You know, you shoot a qualification, then you might get into a ranking round, and then you go off in the first round, and then you're watching for 2 days.
So it hurts.
Yeah, it hurts for 2 days. Very true. Very true.
They said practice is fun. Going over the basics over and over.
Is there anything you would do different in life?
Nothing.
Zero?
Even my loss, I would repeat the same ones again. Wouldn't change a thing. Because I don't believe it would be a domino effect. Plus, my loss, it's like shaking the tree. All the rotten apples fall off. All the people that I thought was my friend are gone.
Yeah.
It's good to know. Wouldn't change a thing. We'll do exactly the same all over.
This morning you talked a little bit about one of your, I think it was your son, right? Your son started fighting?
Yes.
And you said he got the loss out of the way right away.
Yep.
So one of the things that I've talked about is I feel like it's just as important to learn how to lose as it is to learn how to win. And there's some people that are very like, you know, alpha ego dominant that refuse to lose, that just don't even see how that's relevant. But it seems like that's the person that it'll hurt the worst when it happens.
When
right?
they lose, they crumble. They can't come back. It's the world finish. So yeah, my son, he lost his first fight, but won 2 after that. So, but the one that he lost was like he didn't even get hit. Nobody hit anybody. They just didn't do anything to each other. So the guy they give it to the guy. But it's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you have to learn.
Do you think that's important at all levels of practice or training? Or do you think it's something that just needs to happen on occasion to kind of set the ego in check a little bit?
On occasion.
Yeah.
It's nobody likes to lose. I don't like that I have 2 losses in my career.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's good. It's good to put you back on earth.
What do you normally tell people when that happens? If you have someone that's very ego driven, right? That would be kind of detrimental. If a student was that way, how would you address it? What would you tell them?
You have to know how to lose. To win is easy. To know how to lose and come back, keep your head up and go back and do it again. It's a plus. The amount of people that are doing this, it's a very, very small amount of people that compete on that kind of level.
Mm-hmm.
On any sport. If you think about it, besides soccer, that's famous all over the world, but archery, if you think about it, the amount of people that compete is very, very small.
Oh, it's teeny.
So
Smaller than small, really.
So the percentage that you are both already, everybody, by competing, by showing up, being part of the history.
Yep. And so you just tell them to embrace that and then let the cards fall where they may.
Yep.
Make sure you're prepared.
Don't let it affect you.
It seems like it's a much harder pill to swallow when you go somewhere to compete and you underperform, but you also know that you underprepared. It seems like when you know, I did this on a hunt one time, and it's still one of the hunts that haunt me, because it was when we moved to Iowa. We had a pretty busy schedule. Normally at the end of August, I go to Alberta, and we came to Iowa, looked around, ended up making an offer on a place, but then 3 days later we had to go to England. We had already planned a trip to see family, so we went back to England for 2 weeks, came back, and ended up having to move to Iowa within 5 days so that Harry could start the first day of junior high school, because we didn't want him to like not be part of that first transition, you know. And so we moved here, and then I had to go get another load of stuff from Wisconsin, and then I moved back, and then all of a sudden I realized my hunt's in 2 days. And I remember my buddy called me and said, you know, are you ready to go? And I just said, yeah, I'll be fine. And I remember just the night before just undoing boxes and just throwing all my hunting stuff in there. And, you know, this was only 10 years ago. And, you know, I was kind of right at the tail end of competing. I think from an accuracy point of view, I'm sure I was probably at my peak. So it was like, this is nothing. But I remember I got there and all of a sudden just made a bad mistake, made a poor shot choice, missed. And I remember like my guide just looked at me like, did you totally miss? And I just said, yeah, I missed. And then he kind of just brushed it off. And then the next day we went out. I made another stalk. Stalk was good, and just like ended up making a shot, but didn't like pay attention to like limbs, hit a limb, deflected, missed again. And he just looked at me and he said, what the hell is going on? He goes, do you need to go practice with your bow? And I said, honestly, I'm not going to hunt until I tell you I'm ready. And I went and I packed all my stuff back up in my case, because when I got there, everything was in a mess. I just threw everything in. So I repacked everything in my case, how I would pack for a hunt. And when it was that way, I went outside. I had a target. I set my case there. I unpacked all my case, laid my gear back out, and then just said, okay, let's practice at 20 yards. Let's practice at 30 yards. And I just shot at 20, shot at 30, shot at 40, shot to 50, put my hunting gear on, went back to 20, shot. Just took a whole day of shooting. And then the next day I just said, I'm ready to go. And I remember thinking, like, it doesn't matter that you've done this 20 years. You weren't.
Not ready. No, you were ready. I think you had a lot on your mind.
Yeah. Well, mentally I wasn't prepped.
Somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like in the beginning when you said I was here, I was there, I was doing this, I was rushing there, and not much sleeping here and going a rush. And yeah, the gear is there. You know what to do.
The skill set's there.
But the mind was somewhere else.
Yep.
So you had to stop, come back, bring the mind back. The mind is here now.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't because the skill left or the equipment is old and outdated or broken or missing. Sounds like your mind wasn't there.
Yep.
So you guys stop. That's why a lot of fighters have a hard time stop fighting. Sometimes they get too old. You got to know when to stop because the body doesn't recover anymore. No, I'm going to do one more. And that's when you get hurt.
Yeah.
Because your mind is not hungry anymore.
Yep.
You're just doing it because you're so used to do it. You're so used to the glamour of life, walking the stadium. but your mind is there? Not really. So you got to know when to stop. So that's what you did. You stop, go back, repack, take a day off. It's not because the equipment was bad or the skills were bad. It's just your mind wasn't present.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to have a presence of mind.
Have you ever had a time like that?
In 2 fights that I lost, one of them, I wasn't present at all. Even my brothers came up to me. It's like, what happened? Where'd you go? Come back here, man. Come on. Where'd you go? It was like, okay, I'm going to fight. All right. Didn't care. It's like, they were worried. That one was bad.
Where was your mind?
I peaked on the wrong day. I trained so hard that I peaked on the wrong day. And then the opponent did exactly what we thought he was going to do. He did exactly what we thought, what we trained for. I'm the one who didn't show up. So it's that happens. It happens sometimes. Peak on the wrong day, wrong time of the camp. I pushed too much. You see. But the rest of the times, I was always present, always hungry, because I always took that break and I always come back and yep.
What would you do during your break?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So you can get hungry. Take a couple weeks off and not a run, not a lift, not. But I mean,
training. Would you like shoot guns, or would you hang out with the family, or eat, or surf, or
family? That's it. No exercise whatsoever. Nothing involving exercise. Let the body totally recover. It recovers much faster.
Yeah. It seems like the older I get, the more I need that. Like the more it's important, because so much of, like, I think once you get to a level where you're like more of a coach or a mentor, it's even more rhythmatic and systematic and repetitive, to where, like, you know, you got to have your mindset right to where you're present during that coaching segment, right? So, like, for me, the guitar's done it because it's so out of the realm of archery. It has no relevance, to where if I'm going to actually do it decent, I have to forget about archery. And even if I forget for an hour, it's like a power nap. It's honestly like a power nap, because then I can come back and I could finish writing an article, or I could, you know, even make a post if I'm writing something that's teaching oriented. But yeah, those breaks.
You have to know how to walk away. People think sometimes that you have to do all the stuff today. I got 100 stuff on my list.
Yep.
I'll get to it when I get to it. I'm definitely not lazy. I'll work on it, but I'm not going to stay to do it, all of them. It's like drive me nuts. So it's like I'll go down the list. I'll do it. But there's a time that I got to say, stop. I got to go to sleep now.
Yep.
Or I'm going to overload it today. Tomorrow, I'm not going to perform anymore. I'm not going to be able to do it because I'm super tired and I can't travel. I can't teach. I can't do my stuff. And so you got to know how to pace. It's not irresponsible. Irresponsible if you just don't do it and you sit at home playing Xbox. That is irresponsible.
Yep.
You see, but besides that, you do it, but then there's a time that you got to stop to eat.
Yep.
No, I'm not going to eat today because I got so much to do. It's like, what? Try driving the car without gas on it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stop because I don't want to waste time filling up when the gas station, filling up the tank. So I'm going to keep going. But then you run out of gas.
Yep.
You got to stop, fill up the gas.
You said one thing today that I thought was really cool. And it was when you were talking about the 3 different aspects to jiu-jitsu that you need to be good, you know.
You got to know what you're doing. You got to have gas on the tank. And then it becomes power.
Yep. So you were talking, and I'll let you talk about that, but it kind of relates. So when I coach, I talk about a trifecta a lot, and I tell people that there's 3 aspects to their game that all, like, have to play together. You know, they all have to play together, and there's certain times where one, if it's weak, the other ones will pull it through. But I always say that you're mechanical, so your equipment, that's the one thing with jiu-jitsu is in my opinion, your equipment would be like your knowledge of technique. Like what arrows do you have in your quiver of like what moves and defense do you know? Like that would essentially be your mechanics. But then you also have to have the physical stature, which comes from practice and the stamina. And then the third part would be, your ability for R&R and nutrition to know your body enough to know, like you said, when to peak, when you can peak, what you need to do to fuel it and what you need to do to rest it so that it peaks. So you've really got this fuel, you've got the mechanical, and then you have the physical side. And, you have to train those and worry about those individually, but there's certainly some that can lack and the other ones will pull them through. But there's also ones where you could have the best bow in the world, but if your mechanics aren't there from a technique point of view, it does not matter. Like you could know every move, but if you can't do it right, then it doesn't matter.
Eventually you're going to miss.
Yeah, so we've got time for you to expand on that a little bit and just kind of go through what your philosophy there for people, because I think it's relative to archery, but I also think it's very relative to jiu-jitsu. But I think it's so important for athletes to understand this.
It's simple. It's first thing you have to know what you're doing. If you don't know, you see, I have no business playing American football. I don't know how to play American football. Don't know how to throw the ball. Don't know how to catch the ball. It's like, don't know which way to go. So don't know, you don't know. You have to learn. I didn't know how to shoot a bow, but now I know. And now I'm a black belt.
Kind of.
Brown.
All right.
Okay, purple. Come on, man. But then once I know, now I have to have endurance, because you can have the fastest car in town without gas, power alone, you're not going to push that car everywhere. You might push somewhere, but not all the way. So, and then becomes power. So a lot of people sometimes comes over, they look good, they rep in shape, got a lot of endurance, but they don't know what to do. Or they know what to do, look good, but without the endurance. So all I got to do is wait for the first 3-4 minutes, he tires out because he has zero endurance. You see, so we got to have in that order, knowledge, have the endurance, and then the power.
That's awesome. Dude, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Hopefully we hook up again sometime. You've been
Next
fun.
time is going to be on my turf, on the mat.
All right. I'm down with that. All right, man. Thank you for coming to Iowa. And, we got to get you on a plane. Be sure to check out knockonarchery.com for our full line of custom designed products, as well as free in-depth education and bow hunting entertainment to help you shoot at your best.